In the studio, we've been joined by the newly elected president of the Sierra Leone Football Association, Babadi Kamara, who pulled 43 votes out of 55 votes cast on the election day. The president will be speaking on the outcome of the election, his vision, among other things. Good morning, Mr. President. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
How does it feel winning the presidency of SLFA? Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. I think I feel elated. When you go into a contest with people and you emerge victorious, it gives a sense of humor, love, appreciation for the good work you've been doing. And when you look at the overwhelming way I was voted for, it tells you every football stakeholder have recognized my good work in the past, and because of that there has been a trust, so that is why they voted for me overwhelmingly. So I'm happy about that, and it gives me more motivation to do more. Surely
you thought about this thoroughly before running for presidency. Why did you want to become president of the SLFA?
It's a decision that's born out of the need to render service to my state, to my country, Sierra Leone. I've been in football for a very long time. I happen to be the chairman of Bo Rangers Football Club. I was once a team manager. I've been out with the national team on several occasions. I've seen areas where we have been falling short in terms of team preparation, in terms of reason why we do not win matches. And having been in football at club level with a lot of investment in the football of Sierra Leone, I thought it fit that if we all sit by and watch others to govern the game in their own way, then at the end of the day we will not make progress. And when I look at the transformation I brought to football at Bo Rangers level and what we've achieved in a very short period of time, I do believe I have the experience now, I have the knowledge, I have what it takes to transform Sierra Leone football for the best, greater good of all.
So, President, there's a lot of work to be done. The vuvuzela, over the dancing, it's over the celebration, it's all gone now. It's now time to work. The current state of the SLFA complex at King Tom is an eyesore. It's grossly dilapidated. People have even turned the place into a market square. Are there plans to refurbish that place, Mr. President?
Most definitely. When you travel to other countries, you go to their, FA, administrative offices, and you come home and see the present state of affairs, then you ask yourself, what have we been doing as a nation? We ask ourselves, why is it that we cannot do things in the right manner? The present state of the SLFA compound is extremely terrible. It's one that bears so many questions on the leadership that has been there before. But as the president now, we have to move away from what others have been doing, and my very self and my executive will look at ways to improve and to give a face that befits Sierra Leoneans. I'm very sure we'll achieve that in a very short period of time, because I cannot be comfortable going to an office, an environment of that nature. When players go to play, just a few days ago, a match was abandoned because they could not cross from the gate to the pitch due to so many waterlogs. It's a very terrible situation, but I believe we'll work together with stakeholders to correct that.
Congratulations once again, Mr. Kamara, on your appointment as the president of SLFA. That definitely did not come as a surprise to many Sierra Leoneans, as they say, that you are the exact, man for that position. But your victory comes amid a series of controversies around accusations of election irregularities. And how do you intend to go about building trust and transparency within that sector?
Thank you very much. In the first place, there's no election without challenges. No, anywhere in this world. Even the most civilized nations, the most developed nations, they do have challenges with election. So the SLFA election, cannot be seen to be any exception. But what is good is that we have to look at certain elements that makes an election a good election. For instance, nominations, all of us went through the same processes that we are supposed to go through. Went for nomination. As a matter of fact, I am the only candidate that went for nomination at the SLFA Academy and spent over 5 hours. Over 5 hours I was there, others did not go there. But for me, I was the aspirant, so I thought it fit to be there to see the process. So I spent over 5 hours there, and when we went to Lungi for the election, we have to look at the openness of the election, how transparent it was. Yes, it was extremely transparent because voting took place in an open way. There was no secret voting that you have to go behind a door to cast your vote. You give your ballot paper, you stand in front of everyone at a very close place, and you tick who you want to vote for. You put into the box, and at the end of the day, tallying. Was tallying done in a hidden manner? No, it was done openly before every single stakeholder. Was counting, was the results, we did tally with the number of voters, yes, 55. When you check all the positions that we are contested for, every single tallying matched with the number of voters. The Sierra Leone Football Association has 57 delegates in total, but during the Lungi election, 2 people were not in the hall to vote, so 55 voted, which means that is something like 96.4% voter turnout. That exceeds any industrial norm as far as elections are concerned. And my result too, I got 43 out of 55, which is like 78%. I'm winning margin. So that tells you I was voted for by every single region in this country overwhelmingly. Say the 5 regions of Sierra Leone voted for me overwhelmingly. So yes, people can complain, people can question, but at the end of the day, the results were acceptable. They were accepted by everyone. FIFA have called, sent their messages, CAF, WAFU, colleague presidents around Africa, Samuel Eto'o, the Lamin Bajo of Gambia, the Raji of Liberia, the one in Ghana, Comoros, Ivory Coast. So, this tells you the result was accepted because the election were conducted under the supervision of FIFA. So people will always, claim, or I think when you look at all the tenets that are supposed to be followed in democratic election, I do believe the election was credible.
Quite recently, when Mohamed Kalon was appointed as the head coach of Leone Stars, there were lots of concerns around his loyalty, about the fact that, he has his own personal team, which is the FC Kalon. Now you've been appointed as the president of the SLFA, and your personal ties to Bo Rangers have raised questions about the aspect of impartiality. How will you separate club loyalty from national football interest?
I find that a very interesting question. In the first place, let me make this very clear, that Bo Rangers as a club is a community club. Bo Rangers is not owned by Babadi Kamara. I was appointed by the late PC Boyma to serve as executive chairman of the club. And the shareholding for Bo Rangers ranges across all stakeholders in the districts, from paramount chiefs, from clergy people, local NGOs, from the mayor, the district council, petty traders, bike riders, motor drivers union. They are all represented at the board of Bo Rangers. I have served the club diligently. I've won medals. Now my present responsibility is at national level, and there is no way anyone can compare a loyalty of the state to that of a club. It's like Sierra Leone is the universal set in football domain, and Bo Rangers is just a mere subset, a very small subset of the universal set. So if I am to talk about loyalty, my loyalty will every moment of my life will be to Sierra Leone and not to an individual, not to a football club.
Quickly before Jones comes in, let's talk about one of Sierra Leone's, the fact that we are talking about Bo Rangers, that brings in my next question. Let's talk about one of Sierra Leone's finest players, Musa Tombo. He was signed into your team, I mean Bo Rangers, in 2023, but with him there has been a lot of, skirmishes, if I may put it that way. We've seen a lot of international teams, requesting for him, and at the end of the day, he calls back, to return home. What would you speak to that?
I first signed Musa in 2021, I believe, from Eastern Lions. Before that, he has traveled like 3 times and returned in all occasions. For me, that was enough to conclude that he cannot be able to play football out of Sierra Leone. When he came to me also, we are preparing for the African Champions League, and some people just came from nowhere and say, oh, we have a deal for Musa to go to Libya. And when they approach Musa will always call me. He will pressure me that, yes, Dad, I want to go, Dad, I want to go, Dad, I want to go. I will always give him his bite and say, okay, we can work a deal, he can go. But when he went to Libya, we all know the story. He came back. Recently also, somebody messaged me that, oh, we have the deal for Musa in Tunisia. I called Junior Navo, the chairman of Eastern Lions, because I loaned Musa to Eastern Lions last season. So Junior told me, yes, let's give him a try, he can go. Then Junior released him. We allowed him to go again to Tunisia. The story everyone knows, Musa is back. When he was in Tunisia, he went for training twice and he collapsed in the field 2 times. So the club said, no, we cannot keep Musa here, he does not want to be here. They brought him back. When he came back, we are seeing pictures since yesterday that he has signed for a community league, this and that. So these are enough to tell us that we cannot force Musa to play out of Sierra Leone. Whatever is the reason, I don't know. But his actions have clearly demonstrated that he cannot be able to play out of Sierra Leone. So we have to think about Musa's mental state other than the money people think they can get from Musa. Because most of these agents, even if it is $1,000, they offer them, they will push, they will do everything humanly possible for the player to go. But when they go, what do they get as benefits? What do they get from their talent? It's mostly very minimal. So in the case of Musa, we as Sierra Leoneans, we as stakeholders have to accept that Musa will not be able to play out of Sierra Leone, and what we need to do is to manage him here at local level, look after him, and let him play his football here that gives him happiness and the freedom he needs.
Certainly, perhaps even provide him a better life.
Very, very much so. Very, very much so.
So, President, let's look at the Division 1 and 2 Premier League for both men and women. It has got tremendous growth over the years, It's good. A lot of people would say it's one of the most successful, leagues we have in Sierra Leone now. But critics argue that for both leagues, both divisions 1 and 2, for men and women, there are serious problems. There is an argument to ask whether indeed it would be possible for these leagues to be playing simultaneously with the Premier League. Is it possible?
Yes, it's very possible. It is extremely very possible, and that is something we are going to work on. We'll make it a priority, because just take the Premier League. We are still playing Premier League in Sierra Leone. Mm-hmm. Very unique, a very unique one, because everywhere in the world, they are now approaching their new season. Mm-hmm. Some have already started their new season, but Sierra Leone is still playing the last season league. So that is not anything we can settle for anymore. If we cannot do it better, then I'm sure there was no need for us to wish to take over. So now that we are here, we are not going to take excuses. We are not going to give ourselves any reason not to play football in line with international best practice and in line with international transfer markets.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about local talents, grassroots football, for instance. Since the Craig Bellamy, academy closed some years ago, we've struggled to get, a complex or a facility that we'll call our local or national academy in Sierra Leone. And much of our talent are going untapped, Is that a plan within your, short term or medium term to ensure that indeed we have a workable, perhaps very sophisticated academy that will focus on nurturing local talents?
Yes, of course, because I believe if we have to compete at continental level, at world level, football has to be a discipline. It has to be a career. Just like anyone can play football, as a matter of fact. I can take my boots and go to any field and play football, but you have to play football in a very professional manner. So if we are to catch up with other countries in Africa, like the Senegal, the Mali, the Ivory Coast, then we have to go into football academy, because the academy provide you the discipline, the professional knowledge and know-how in how to play football, because it's a whole art. It's not just the kicking of the ball. Yeah. But even when you run? How do you run? How do you position yourself on the pitch of play? How do you assist another colleague on the pitch of play? What are your motivations? Where do you want this football to take you? So in Sierra Leone, most people are playing football for fun. They don't have the discipline. They don't have the mentorship. And football academy is what gives you those parameters, so that when you come out of the academy, you are a very good player. You mentioned Craig Bellamy, one of the best players in the history of Sierra Leone. When he plays, not necessarily that he scores goals every other time, but when he plays, when he touches the ball, when he moves, you know that yes, he has some discipline in him. That is Musa Tombo, a very excellent player I've worked with. So if we are to develop football beyond the normal, then we have to go into football infrastructure, football academies. But that is not the task of the FA alone. There is nowhere in the world, I'm not sure that any FA has an academy for themselves, but they will encourage the administrators, those who want to invest in football, to think about football infrastructure through academy, so that we can nurture our young talents, go through the process, and when they emerge from those academies, then we'll have raw talent that can compete at continental level. I am sure that is something I personally will look into, and I will encourage other colleagues to do.
I'm sure what many Sierra Leoneans really may want to know from you at this point is what are some of your plans that you have in your manifesto. And in that regards, I also want to say that many players, especially in rural communities or rural areas, complain about lack of access, exposure and support. How will your administration decentralize football development?
Before this time, as chairman of Bull Rangers or as an individual, I've organized football tournament in almost every single district in Sierra Leone. I've assisted football stakeholders in almost every single district in Sierra Leone. There was a time when I went to Kailaun and Pujon to watch a particular match. In Pujon, there was a 17-year-old boy who was called Lamine Yamal. The boy, when he plays, you know he has a talent, you know he's extremely good. The same thing in Kailaun. I saw that with my eyes. Kafu Bulom here, Lunge. Of course, I must let every Sierra Leonean know that Kafu Bulom is the hub of football in Sierra Leone. Just like when you see Diamond for Sierra Leone, you go to Kono. If you want players, quality, talent, you have them in the Port Local district. So I have organized tournaments in all of those areas, and I think as president, we are going to go beyond the normal footballer to play the Premier League, Division 1 and Division 2, to give young players opportunities from every district in this country. So I want to assure every Sierra Leonean that I will be doing that, and my executive will work towards having a situation wherein propose the government to be having even district league, which gives every single district the opportunity to play, because there are districts without Premier League teams. So if you give them that opportunity to play district league or Chiefdom League, like I did very recently, I played Chiefdom Leagues in Kono, Kailan, Kenima, Bo, Tonkolili, everywhere. I did that everywhere in the country. So if we can come together and work towards having Chiefdom League or District League, then that gives every single Sierra Leonean who wants to play football the opportunity to play.
It's maybe unjust of me to sit here and not talk about the interest of the Sierra Leone Women's Football League, as they still lack full structure and that of investment. What plans do you have to upgrade it?
One of the biggest gaps between the male Premier League and the female Premier League or female football is resource equity, finance equity. I'm very sure when we give seed money before this time, when they give seed money to Premier League teams, the one they give to the male team is far more than what they give to female Premier League teams. And for me, the process of playing football, either female or male, is just the same thing. The training you go through, the injuries you have, the travels, everything is just the same thing. So we are going to bridge that gap to have financial equity between the female and male Premier League team. And we'll also develop infrastructure that gives the female teams to be having their own games at their own time based on their own schedules. We'll also try to control the issue of social barriers and safety, like sexual harassment. Before this time, we've had a lot of issues with that in Sierra Leone football. They've been managed to a certain extent. But I believe my administration will look into that and try to close that gap or minimize it to a BRS minimum, so that our girls will feel safe, they will feel comfortable when they play football.
I asked that question simply because, Jones, I don't know if you can recall, with the female team in Nigeria, you see how much money and resources that was invested.
Pouring,
I mean in them. Anyways.
Indeed. Mr. President, let's now focus on something that maybe news to you, I don't know, been following, but integrity seems to be a scarce, characteristic for a lot of officials these days, not least, the Sierra Leone Football Association. The previous, outgone, executive has a mammoth of, allegations, particularly so from the Anti-Corruption Commission of, bribery, corruption, embezzlement, and all of these kinds of things. Should we be worried about your administration in any way?
Financial discipline, integrity is my core competence. That I will say here without any hesitation. In my entire life, I've worked for financial institutions. I started at Finance Alone. I went to ProCredit Bank. I was a credit analyst. I went to IFAD. From there, I worked for London Mining, all in the finance department. And there are people out there who can tell you how tedious I am, how disciplined I am when it comes to money. And the other thing here is, when you go to the Sierra Leone Football Association to work, when you see yourself as somebody who is finding a job, or somebody who is going to work to earn his living out of football, then there is going to be a serious challenge. My objective, or my main reason of going to becoming the president of Sierra Leone Football, is not to work for my living but to provide an avenue for myself to serve my nation. So that issue of integrity when it comes to money or dealings with institutional money, I want to assure every single Sierra Leonean to that. I'm sitting here today, judge me by what I'm saying tomorrow. Okay. There is not going to be any financial malpractices under my watch.
You know, elections as well have a way of dividing people, you know, gerrymandering a particular faction of people. I'm sure that there is bad blood at the moment. There are people who are dangerously aggrieved because of how the election went. Is there a way that you would devise to unite, unify, and bring about peace in within people who are quite bitter at the moment, who may have lost the election?
One unique thing about all of those that contested the election, especially for the presidency, 3 of us, or 4 of us started the race. Along the line, the former president was disqualified, but the former president, my very self, and Aminata Bangura, I mean, it will surprise you to know that we all came from almost the same place, the Bonot. Myself and Aminata came from the same chiefdom, which is Valunya, and the close chiefdom to Valunya is Bagwe, and that is where Tombo came from. The former president called me on Monday, and there is my name, everybody knows, is Babadi, but there's a name he calls me. Whenever he calls me that name, it means we are in good time. And when he called me on Monday, that is the name he mentioned. He did not call me by the name Babadi, which means myself and the former president are in a very good time, and we are on speaking terms. I don't have any issue with him. And for Aminata, even when we went to the hall at Lungate to vote, I walked to her and said to her, "Who brought you to fight your uncle?" Because by every standard, she is my niece. I know her mom. I mean, she was even my auntie Nancy Kamara, was her first nurse, was the first nurse for Aminata in her life. So we have a very good relationship. I talk with her mom, we've been in discussion, so I am not sure for the 3 of us there's going to be any issue. I will try and see how best I'll reach out to them so that we work together in the interest of Sierra Leone. The other, Mr. Ba, who is the current team manager, is an elderly man. I have no issues with him. And other stakeholders who may feel aggrieved, I will definitely find a way to reach out to them and say, "Hey, gentlemen, in the interest of our country, let's come and work together. We should not continue there. There should be time for politics and there should be time for governance. Politics is now over. Let's concentrate and pay attention to what makes Sierra Leone football better." That's how we do.
Quickly, before we take some Facebook messages, already you've set the precedence in, constructing a stadium in Bo. Now, how do you, sorry?
So the arena?
Yeah, the arena. Now, how do you intend to engage the Ministry of Sport and other private sectors to invest more in terms of infrastructure, like more stadiums, possibly training centers, and also youth academy? Because it's very much, yes, it's very much important as we speak.
These other places.
Already, after my election, I've spoken to the Honorable Minister of Sports, showed her my gratitude, and we have a very good relationship. I've also called the chairman of Eastern Lions, Mr. Junior Navo, who is a very good business person and has a lot of friends. I told him, "Junior, you have to lead me to Africell. We need to get private sector people to come on board to support football." I also reached out to Mr. Isham McCain, who is out of the country at the moment. We all know his household name in Sierra Leone, and he's somebody who is also developmental. I want to use those opportunities. When I worked at London Mining also, then the finance director who was there, Mr. Simba Mochina, is currently the finance manager, director too, for Marampa Mines. I already reached out to him that, "Mr. Simba, I've just been elected as the president of Sierra Leone Football Association. I want to make a visit so that find a way how to collaborate with your company so that you can support football in Sierra Leone." At the moment, Leone Rock are doing extremely well with football. They are supporting the male Premier League, and we have to look at ways of getting somebody or people to support the female league and Division 1 and Division 2 league across the country. We also need to get them to support infrastructure, and I believe they will do, because when they know that somebody like Babadi is the one in the driving seat, they know me for integrity, they know me for transparency and accountability. So I'm very sure they'll be willing to support. So those are areas we are going to look at to see how best we can. Even the UNDP, they deal with youth activities, and football is a youth-driven something. We reach out to UNDP, other embassies to say, oh, you are here doing very well for Sierra Leoneans, and the football sector is one that has been neglected by development partners all over, always. So we should not continue in the same way. We have to do everything humanly possible to ensure that you come and support our football infrastructure and governance.
Before we go for messages, I would like to ask you this. On a scale from 1 to 100, how would you assess, the level of development that your predecessor left at the SLFA, or generally in football in Sierra Leone? How would you rate his leadership?
On the scale of what?
1 to 100.
I don't I don't want to draw
excluding the scale. How would you analyze his leadership or development generally across the board?
I was in discussion with some of my executive members yesterday. I said to them, in the 21st century, you cannot construct a plain pitch without a wash yard. For me, development has to be holistic. It should not be by segment. For instance, when you go to the Southern Arena, you can see that everything is there. The only difference you will see is that the Old Trafford is bigger than the Southern Arena. You can see the Emirates is bigger than the Southern Arena. But in terms of basic facilities, the things that you will need, wash, medical room, everything is there, water facility, everything is there. But now if you can go to approved school, you see that there's no wash yard. At the academy, there's no wash yard. All over the place. So if that been the case, then I think the development was not holistic. So we have to look into that and make it more holistic and more measured.
Right.
Okay. I think it's time for us to take
Yes,
some
some
Facebook
messages.
messages. We have over...
A lot of them, actually.
Yes, lots of messages at the moment.
A mistake from Dozak is saying, I would like to begin. Mr. President, good that on the development pillar you are targeting grassroots football. When the foundation is solid, the structure can accommodate more flaws. Over the years, a grassroots system has been faced with challenges. As a nation, we need a solid grassroots football system. We should catch them when they're young.
Okay, this is from Chris Kamara. He says, discussing issues relating to football, sector growth and relationships with world governing bodies is the way to go, Mr. President.
Transparency and accountability. Babadi Kamara, Joseph Joss Conte is saying there.
So Sama Mohammed is saying, Babadi is a very fiscal disciplined man. He is that man who hardly talks, but when he talks, he means everything he says. What a leader and philanthropist. Sierra Leone's football is bound to a revamping trajectory. Mr. President, BBD, congratulations, and may God bless and guide your new role for malicious.
Hassan Youngest is saying, AYV always makes history. In fact, they're the first to host the newest president of the football in the world. Keep soaring history. With Babadi, football will be very successful.
AYV, this is from Hassan Youngest, and he says, AYV always make history. You've read that? Okay. Yes. This is from Orito Kelly. He said, Mr. President, we the football-loving fans are well pleased by voting you as the president of SLFA, but sir, we need better broadcasting system, sir.
Al-Hussein Kamara is saying, we the stakeholders strongly believe that Mr. Babadi Kamara will transform our football to higher heights. God Go and make us proud, sir. You wanted to say that.
And this is from Balakago. He says, the president-elect is a man with wisdom and has a great passion for football development in this country. He has been the only person in the history of Falaba district to donate 63 footballs and 13 sets of football jerseys to all chiefdoms in Falaba district.
David Emil saying, inclusiveness in football is the topmost priority of Mr. Babadi Kamara as the newly elected president of the Sierra Leone Football Association.
And this one is from Congo Support, and he says, please Babadi, focus on the grassroots and improve the lower leagues. Benjamin Gordon, Didido, the lower level grassroots, but who stakeholders them they suffer under Didido. Change the leadership, change the leaders, stakeholders then don't contribute boku money, and the Didido they collect money from clubs them na the leagues. The messages are not pretty clear.
Built-in Kamara is saying, Mr. President, are we going to see the artificial turf in other districts where football is playing in the country?
And this is from Gasimu Fofana. Our only female Premier League team we have as a district, Bons, which was based in Sierra Leone, is now based in Bo City to play their Premier League games just because we, Rutal community, don't have artificial turf in any of our fields. So please, Rezo Babadi, consider Sierra Rutal community with a playing field.
Joseph Ansumana is saying, what are the plans you have to put in place for referees organization?
And this is from Abdul Karim Tijan. He's asking, what's your plan for the disability sports?
I am from Konadugu district, die-hard fan of our darling Diamond Stars. But what Babadi have done for Bull Rangers and Sierra Leone football as a whole, I believe he will transform football in our country. Alusain Aisatu Kale saying.
Kindo Armani is saying, we now work man we want. BBD is the man we've been waiting for all this while. Salon football for development. This is from Mystic.
Yes, go ahead.
He says, in as much as the Sierra Leone Football Association has completed the Delegates Elective Congress in Lunge over the weekend, I want to congratulate Babadi Kamara on his victory. As for Madam Aminata, we still need her in the game. It is good that the new president of SLFA is reaching out irrespective of your belongings. The game must play.
Musa Tombo is saying, for those that think they are in football governance to squander money made for the development of the game at the detriment of the general public, it's a big no under the leadership of Babadi Kamara.
And Tom Kamara is saying, good morning, AYV. Congratulations, Mr. President. Can you please tell us what is your plans? Or what are your plans for both islands? We are far behind in terms of infrastructure. And
yes,
you want to go ahead? Or
yeah, go ahead, yes.
Okay, this is from Bokari Ali. He says, Babadi, do you have any plans to close the gap between Mercury International and the FA one-time highest premier sponsor? SLFA one time accused them of match fixing but never provide evidence.
Right. Osam Conte is saying, SLFA President-elect Babadi Kamara, what's your take on the manner the Leone Star national coach displayed in the hall on that day of the election?
Thomas Samu says, watching live from the UK, this is a great opportunity for us. I have been your strong supporter from the one. My question is, what's your strategic plans for the development of grassroots football? I have spent the last 8 years developing grassroots football. What's your plan for people like us? We may just take a few more because there are lots of congratulatory messages.
Exactly.
Obviously, we'll skip those messages. Please, Mr. President, this is from Mohamed S. Jallo. Please, Mr. President, to strengthen our football system, one key issue must be addressed. The referees manager must be removed. And this is from Med J.
For those who do not have the requisite knowledge to... Oh, no, that's not football. President-elect is a man with wisdom and has a great passion for football development in the country. Has been the only person in the history of Falaba district to donate 63 footballs.
I
You've read that
yeah,
one,
yes.
right? So I think we'll stop here for.
I'll just take one quickly. This is from Griffin Ronald. He says, what plans are in place to ensure that footballers in Sierra Leone League are properly developed and treated fairly by club owners and managers?
Okay. So, President, please respond to these ones.
I think I can categorize the messages in 2 or 3 ways. Most of them are complementary messages. They do not ask questions. They are complementary. Very few who ask questions, they all spoke about grassroots football and how do I hope to develop that. If I'm to answer their question, we've already discussed that we cannot play football without football infrastructure. If we have to achieve grassroots football, it means we have to ensure that at least most of the districts in the country have a better playing facility. We also have to have training. A lot of training has to take place, coaching training, referee training, all of that. I believe once we are able to effectively undertake those activities, then the grassroots football, we have a very good foundation. That is something we'll look at very seriously. I'll take very seriously, because if a club in Kenema keep winning matches, Kono, Freetown, Port Loko, Makinade keep winning matches, but the national team is not winning, then it means what we are doing at the local level is not helping the national team. And the objective of all these games we are playing is to produce a team for the country that is good enough to challenge at continental level. So that is what is going to be our objective, to calibrate our local football activities to match with the needs of the national team.
As we try to wrap up this segment, quickly for me, what's your relationship with Mohamed Kalon? Because it's clearly seen that he does not kind of support your aspiration. And how do you intend to give a facelift to football in Sierra Leone, more specifically so on international platforms?
Mohamed Kalon is a brother. For my own side, I have a very excellent relationship with Mohamed Kalon. I'm very good. I mean, we are. As far as I'm concerned, there is no bad blood between myself and Mohamed Kalon. Somebody asked a question. What's up? Regarding his decision to not to vote in Lungi, that is something I cannot tell. But the only challenge with his decision not to vote for me was the fact that he did not go to Lungi by himself as a delegate. If that was an FC Kalon vote, I would have understood that yes, he has a right not to vote for as FC Kalon delegate. But he went there to represent the heroes who gave him a mandate to vote, whether for me, whether for Mr. Ba or Aminata. He should have stayed to vote for the individual the heroes gave him mandate to vote for. But I don't know why he left, and since he left, the election went ahead, and I mean, like I said earlier, the voter turnout was massive, 96.4%. So his singular vote will not change the outcome of the election, will not in any way affect the integrity of the election. And by and large, I can say here that I have no issues with Mohamed Kalon. You can reach out to him and ask. He will tell you Babadi is a very decent man. We're being in very good, talking terms. He's a national team coach. So whatever happens, I have to work with him to ensure that we deliver for Sierra Leoneans.
The CEO of the AYV, Anthony Navo Jr., is saying millions of people are watching on DSTV, plus thousands in the AYV app, plus high views on AYV Facebook page and YouTube. Great feedback from the public. I must state that Babadi is the most popular SLFA president since independence. He too is watching, it seems.
Thank you.
We've talked about unifying the SLFA, and we've talked about grassroots football, and we've talked about integrity and all of these things. What assurances can you give the people of Sierra Leone? You know, football is thriving all over the world, and Sierra Leone, we are doing well. Marina has just asked, what's the relationship between yourself and, the head coach of Leone Stars? Should we be worried in any way? Given that, he didn't vote you in, vote for you during the elections. Is there a stalemate in any way that you wouldn't like to mention? If not, then it's fine.
There's no stalemate. He did not vote for me and he did not vote for anyone else.
Oh, okay.
So there's no stalemate. As a matter of fact, as national team coach, he was not even supposed to be a delegate.
Oh.
Best practice will tell you he was not supposed to be a delegate. But we're in a democratic state. He belongs to an institution that is the national heroes. All of us know Mohamed Kalo is a legend. Like him or not, he's a legend. He has represented Sierra Leone at the highest level. He made Sierra Leone to be known at the international level.
No.
So, whether you like him or not, you have to respect him for what he has achieved for our country.
Going forward, Mr. President.
So, going forward, I am going to be open to work with Mohamed Kalo.
Okay.
I'll be open to work with him because what he is doing is not doing it for me. He's doing it for the country. What I'm doing, I'm not doing for Mohamed Kalo, I'm doing for the country. So we should come together to work and make Sierra Leone a better place when it comes to football.
To summarize your input in the short and long term, if you would like to divide it in that manner, what are some of the most notable reforms you're about to bring to football in Sierra Leone?
The football calendar in Sierra Leone is the most notable thing. That is the most pressing thing that we have to correct. We are sitting here, Eastern Lions are almost the champion of Sierra Leone. All other African countries are now preparing for the Africa Champions League. Eastern Lions are still playing the Sierra Leone Premier League. When is the league going to end for Eastern Lions and the runners-up who will be playing at the confederation level to prepare? Because what we normally do is that when the league ends, you look within the country, the best of players in other clubs, you try to get them and join your team so that you get a very solid team to represent the country. Because when you go to continental level, Champions League, yes, it carries the name Eastern Lions, but they are representing Sierra Leone. It's because they belong to Sierra Leone, that is why they are playing at continental level. When Banta or FC Kalon go to play Confederation Cup, it's because they belong to Sierra Leone. They are from Sierra Leone, that is why they represent us at continental level. So whenever we have a team that is playing at continental level, it's about Sierra Leone, it's not about the club anymore. You will see me going to support Eastern Lions when they play in the Champions League. Very soon you will see me there supporting them. The last time I supported them openly, even when I was the chairman of Bo Rangers, I still supported them because they are representing Sierra Leone at continental level. So we have to tailor our league table, our league calendar to fit into the continental calendar or the world calendar. We are in by say May of latest second week in June. Leagues have ended and we are preparing for continental competition. So that is my first thing I am sure going to put more premium on to ensure that by October, with the support of all stakeholders, we'll start our league.
Quickly as we wrap up, do you still want to make some submission?
Yes,
go ahead.
That's medium term.
Yeah.
Medium term is infrastructure, governance, and the rest, which we'll do. I've already started talking about them. I am not just going to jump into the SLFA office because I've won an election. I want to know what has been taking place there. I want to look at their staffing. I want to look at their assets, their liabilities, and I have a very solid report so that will guide me in my implementation of the recommendations that might come out of those investigations.
Two things for me as we wrap up. Someone was asking by our Facebook page that what prompted your resignation as a team manager, and also maybe you would want to use this opportunity again, because I know for a fact that you did so during the course of the election. You may want to speak to football loving fans from across Sierra Leone and the continent.
Yeah. I wish that person could have asked me prior to the election, because I don't want to sound like somebody who is campaigning. I've won an election, so I don't want to go back to those issues that led me to resign. At that time, a lot of controversy where people said a lot of things. Oh, Babadi wants to become a sport minister. That is why he resigned. No, absolutely not. I've never in my life thought of becoming a sport minister or any other minister. No, that is not my own domain. I don't, not that I cannot be a minister, but I believe I will serve Sierra Leoneans better in the field of football. So I never resigned because I want to become a minister. I resigned because of several issues within the national team. If you are a team manager, it means everything that has to do that team, management, traveling, accommodation, paying of players, bonuses, blah, 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 you have to supervise everything. But in our own case here, it was never like that. It was completely different. I've been at, traveling, ticket issues. The managing director of Sierra Leone Commercial Bank will tell you that I once approached him as the team manager that we want to be having a situation wherein when we are to play in a particular country, you give us money so that we'll buy tickets far before time. And when government pays the money, you take your money and give us what is for us so that we can have players moving or players departing their destination for our playing venue on time. Because I've seen a situation in Guinea when we went to play a particular qualifier, wherein players came the night that we had to play the following morning. So they had no training session. And in the morning hours, they wear our jersey and go to the field, and performances were not good because of how travelings have been handled. So when I look at all those issues, and I did not just resign, I called the president, I told him that with all of these issues, I am not sure I would continue being here with my name being used or seen as a team manager and myself being associated with everything that is happening at the national team. So I told him that I'm going to resign, and I did that respectfully, and he accepted respectfully.
Okay.
So, President, before I ask my final question, there's a message from Augustine.
Austin.
Yes, Austin. So BBD is humility personified, a pristine embodiment of modesty and compassion. This loudly speaks to humble beginnings. BBD breaks status barriers to interface or interact with people from different backgrounds or statuses, with particular reference to the common man. Interacting with these people is his forte. BBD believes in the transient or impermanent nature of this world and the vicissitudes of life. He carries himself in a simple fashion and prioritizes helping and humbly identifying himself as fellow citizen. An inspiration indeed. Now to my final question, Mr. President. What picture do you see for Sierra Leone football moving forward?
One that is feared by every country in Africa. That is what I want. I don't want a situation wherein other teams will predict the outcome of matches when they play us. I want a situation wherein when, say, Ivory Coast, they say they are going to play Sierra Leone, they should have a sleepless night because they know Sierra Leone will be a solid rock to break. That is what I want for Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much indeed. Babadi Kamara, President-elect, Sierra Leone Football Association. We want to continue to congratulate you and we pray you succeed.
I'm sure he still hasn't spoken to his football-loving fans. And
oh, you haven't?
Yes.
Okay.
He hasn't, yes.
For football-loving fans, very soon we will have an opportunity to watch our Daniel Leone Star play at the National Stadium. You wait and see what we will do to encourage you to watch the national team. You wait and see the transformation that we'll have at the national team. Definitely, the fans of football in Sierra Leone are going to be amazed when we kick in full gear to ensure that our presence at the Nations Cup become regular and not one that will go after every 20 years. We will ensure we restore that glory to our football, and we ensure, because Leone Star is the only thing that every Sierra Leoneans own in equal share.
Right.
Yes, I can say that You can be a Muslim, you can be a Christian, somebody can be from any other political party, somebody can come from different region, districts, or different tribes. But when it comes to national team, when it comes to Leone Star, this is what we all have in equal share. That is why when we last qualified in Guinea, of course, it's a match in which I played a very pivotal role for us to qualify. When we qualified in Liberia, the whole of the country was in the streets celebrating. When we played in Cameroon and had a draw with Algeria, we all are here to testify what happened in Sierra Leone. We are on standstill. This means if we can develop that national team, make it more competitive, it will be it will bridge the gap in Sierra Leone, because everyone will rally behind Leone Star. That will foster unity and peace within all the corners of Sierra Leone. So we are going to work towards that and ensure that Leone Star become a point of assembly for every single Sierra Leoneans, so that we have peace in our football and the country as a whole.
Just a sudden addendum, with one of the global, someone is asking about the salary and welfare of footballers in Sierra Leone, whether you are aware, and how do you plan to harmonize it or improve it?
History will tell you that I am the one that started the welfare of players in Sierra Leone. When it comes to transfer, I'm on record of being somebody who have purchased the players with the highest amount of money in Sierra Leone for my club, then Bo Rangers. History will tell you that I'm the one that started paying players handsome salary. That is why Bo Rangers was able to win 3 Premier League, 1 FA Cup and 2 Community Shield in just 4 or 5 years, because of the structure and how we managed to care for our players. I will encourage every club. It's a requirement for licensing. If you want to license your team for the season, then you will have to look at all the individual contracts for all the players. I will ensure strict adherence to that. Every single club must or shall submit a contract for their players. I will review them and see if they fall within the threshold that we look for. That will be a compliance requirement we will follow to the letter.
Thank you very much indeed, President Babadi.